Welcome to Prove It or Lose It. I'm your host, Mackenzie Freeman, and in today's episode, we will be talking all about college basketball as it is March. Our analysts today include last week's champion, Donovan Brown, Jordan Lindsay, Brian Clark, and Ian Cropper. My first question is to Donovan. Donovan, who do you have as a favorite to win March Madness and why?
I'm going to go with the University of Kentucky because they have Rob Dillingham. He's able to come off the bench and torch you for 30 points, which will be like a key player in the March Madness because he'll be able to just to send people home and mess up people's brackets.
I think that's a great choice. We will have to see how they do in the tournament because we know March is all full of upsets. Next up, we have Jordan. Jordan, who do you think will win Men's Coach of the Year in college basketball and why?
I believe it will be the Duke Blue Devils head coach, John Shire. If I'm saying that correctly. Coach Shire has filled in for Coach K and led the team really to pick up where they left off. They made the tournament over the past couple of years. They made it very far. And his heroics recently in Wake Forest when he got one of his players off the court when he got hurt, it's just something that needs to be appreciated.
Right, I think there definitely are a lot of college coaches to choose from, but I do like your pick. Next up is Brian. Brian, which conference has the best competition this year in men's basketball, and what makes you think that?
At first, I was thinking Big 12 because, Big 12, they have Houston, and I was like, you got to put on for the city in Houston. But, when you really think about conferences, I really think the SEC is one to mention because of Tennessee. Tennessee leads the way, and Dalton Connect, he's that guy. Add into the fact that, the Kentucky Wildcats, they have three outstanding shooters in Antonio Reeves, Rob Dillingham, to your point, and Reed Shepherd. These guys are awesome. Not to mention Mark Sears on Alabama, 21.1 points per game, 50, 40, 86% shooter. He's awesome.
Yeah, it seems like there is a lot of competition in all of the conference, but I definitely do like the SEC pick. Moving on to Ian, who do you think will win Player of the Year in men's basketball and why?
I do hate to go with the obvious pick, but I think it is going to be Zach Edey. He has just been dominant for the Boilermakers. Over 700 total points, 350 total rebounds. And there's a reason where if you go online, I remember doing my research, I went to a betting site. The odds for him being the most valuable player were minus 2,500. So, yeah, he's just been dominant, and I would be surprised if he wasn't the one who won it.
Yeah, I definitely do think he's a stud as well. But that does it here for our first round. When we come back, our analysts will take on some trivia in our first elimination round.
What's wrong? Are you stuck in your paper?
Pretty much. I haven't written anything in an hour.
Why don't you check out the Writing Center at UNT?
Well, how do I meet up with them?
All you have to do to make an appointment is visit the Writing Center's website and either call the number or email writingcenter@unt.edu. The appointment is 30 minutes long, and the trained tutors will be able to help with brainstorming, correcting grammar, ensuring clarity, and a wide range of services. They also do walk-in appointments.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna check them out.
So, when's this paper due?
30 minutes?
For more information, visit the UNT Writing Center's website.
Yeah, it's 6 pages.
Welcome back to Prove It or Lose It. In this round, we will have to say goodbye to one of the analysts. So, guys, it's time to prove it or lose it. Question 1, Donovan. Who won March Madness in 2023? Was it San Diego State, Miami, UConn, or FAU?
I'm going with FAU.
That is incorrect. It was UConn. FAU did go to the finals, but they did lose to San Diego State. Brian, question number 2. What team won the first NCAA basketball tournament? Was it Oregon, Duke, North Carolina, or Villanova?
I'm going to go Oregon.
That is correct. Moving on to question number 3, Jordan, what player is the NCAA tournament's all-time leading scorer? Is it Oscar Robertson, Danny Manning, Elvin Hayes, or Christian Laettner?
Oh, okay. This is very much of I feel like it was going to have to be, let's say he was there for 3 years, I believe. Christian Laettner.
That is correct. I know a lot of people love him, some people just hate him. Ian, question number 4. What are the odds in filling out a perfect March Madness bracket? Is it 1 in 2.3 million, 1 in 9.2 quintillion, 1 in 9 billion, or 1 in 1 million?
I'm going to go the quintillion answer because math is like that, because probabilities multiply exponentially. You get these insane odds.
That answer is correct. Moving on to question number 5, we're going to go back to Donovan. How old was the youngest coach to win March Madness? Were they 31, 41, 25, or 36?
I'm going with 36.
That is incorrect. Just a couple years off, it was 31. Moving on to Brian for question number 6. How many consecutive NCAA tournaments did UCLA win? Was it 3, 5, 6, or 7?
Yeah, they went crazy like in the early days, I know. So I'm going to have to say 7.
That is correct. Moving on to Jordan. What is the lowest seed to ever win the NCAA title game? Is it a 12 seed, an 8 seed, a 2 seed, or a 5 seed?
Ooh, I would have to go with the 8th seed.
That is correct. Moving on to question number 8 for you, Ian. Nate Oates is the coach of this university. Is it Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss, or Michigan?
I feel like I'm going to upset some of my friends who go there, but I'm going to say Michigan.
That is incorrect. He coaches at Alabama. Question number 9 for Donovan. What is the most common upset in the NCAA tournament? Is it the 6 versus 11 game, the 12 versus 5 game, the 1 versus 16 game, or the 7 seed versus the 10 seed game?
1 versus the 16 seed.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was the 12 versus 5 seed. Question number 10, Brian. What team has had the most NCAA tournament appearances? Is it Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, or Kansas? I put all the blue bloods up there, so this was tricky.
Okay, again, I'm going to ask for you to repeat the answers again. I'm sorry.
Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Kansas.
I'm going to say Kentucky.
That is correct. Question number 11, Jordan. How many 1 seeds have won the NCAA tournament? Is it 20, 40, 25, or 31?
There's so many upsets that take place in the NCAA tournament. I'm going to have to go for a guess. I would say 25.
That is incorrect. The correct answer was 31. Moving on to our last question for Ian. Who has the most NCAA titles or NCAA wins without a title? Was it Illinois, Oklahoma, Texas, or Purdue?
I'm going to go Illinois.
The correct answer, unfortunately, was Oklahoma. But, Donovan, I'm sorry, we have to say goodbye to you today as you got 0 correct. So we'll say goodbye, and in the next round, our other 3 analysts will debate with each other.
The do's and don'ts of the Pole Rec Center. See that man over there? Please do not hog weights. Instead, do this. Another important part is having an attentive spotter. See, here is an example of a non-attentive spotter. Instead, do this. Now we head to the track, which should be pretty easy, just it's important to pay attention to the way the track goes. Remember to wipe down the equipment after you're done using it. The towels are provided by the gym, so it's pretty easy to wipe down the equipment when you are done. Thank you for using the Pole Recreation Center.
Welcome back to Prove It or Lose It. In the last round, we had to say goodbye to Donovan, but now it's time to see what the other analysts have to say as we take a look at the program side of basketball. Brian, my question for you is, what NCAA men's program do you think was the best team in history in your opinion?
I'm going to have to go with Kentucky on this one because, they made the most national championship games, most appearances, and they're just so strong when it comes to the basketball organization. The players that came from that program, DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, Devin Booker, Julius Randle, SGA, Bam Adebayo, De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Maxey, all of these players came from Kentucky, and they're playing at an all-star level. So that's why I think that Kentucky is the best program when it comes to basketball.
Jordan and Ian, do y'all have anything to add or rebuttal with?
I just want to say that Kentucky is my mother's alma mater, so I agree 100%.
Yeah, I would also agree. Calipari produced one and done, and all those players were one and done that he just named, and the development process was just great for them.
And Jordan, my question for you is, what NCAA women's program do you think was the best team in history in your opinion?
I feel like UConn women's basketball team will be the best in women's history. Their coach is probably one of the most winningest coaches of all time. Absolutely. And they produce players like Diana Taurasi at a UConn, and I'd never seen UConn fall off in such a long time.
Yeah, going back to what he's just said, this is just a program that 11 national championships, coached by one of the greatest coaches of all time, Gino, man, a great basketball mind, and I really do think that UConn is the best when it comes to women program. Let's not forget Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart, Tina Charles, Maya Moore. These are all women that came from that UConn program, and they came to play.
Yeah, I do think Gino is absolutely in the same league for basketball as someone like Bill Belichick or Nick Saban is for football. He just has the dominant streak to end all dominant streaks.
And then Ian, my last question for you is, what was the best upset in men's March Madness history in your opinion?
Okay, yeah, it feels kind of cheap to go with this, but I gotta go with UMBC over Virginia. And it's not just because it's a 16 seed defeating a 1 seed. That alone is insane, but let's look a bit closer. Virginia were 20-point favorites to win this game, and they lost by 20. And it's not like this UMBC team was unbeatable. They lost in the very next round. So the fact that a 1 seed dropped the ball, pun intended, like this is just insane.
Jordan or Brian, y'all have anything else to add?
I would totally agree with that. He had the facts.
Yes, I also agree. I do think that UMBC was the little team that could, and they were the little team that did. 20 points. They destroyed the number 1 seed in the South Regional, and that was just you read about it. It was headlines everywhere. Social media was talking all about it. You talk to your friends at school about it. It was just such a revolutionizing upset. It was just the biggest to me in March Madness history. So, yeah, UMBC.
Yeah, that's insane as the 2023 Packers beating the 2023 Cowboys. Oh, wait a second.
I think those were all some great answers. But, guys, once again, in the next round, someone will be eliminated, so stay with us. welcome to our second elimination round. In the first round, we had to say bye to Donovan. So now it's time for one of you guys to be eliminated once again. So guys, let the trivia begin. Donovan, do you want to take this question?
Who won Women's March Madness last year? LSU, South Carolina, Iowa, or UConn?
And Brian, that question is for you.
You gotta go with the LSU Lady Tigers.
That is correct. Moving on to question number 2. Who is the only undefeated team in women's college basketball right now? Is it South Carolina, Notre Dame, Iowa, or Stanford, Jordan?
Okay. I feel like it's Don Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks.
That is correct. It is, in fact, the Gamecocks. I believe they're 29-0 right now. Donovan, do you want to take the next question?
Who has the most Women's March Madness tournament wins? Tennessee, South Carolina, UConn, or Baylor?
It's absolutely got to be UConn.
That is correct. Moving on to question number 4 and getting back to Bryant. Which program did Pat Summitt coach at? Was it Tennessee, Oregon, UCLA, or LSU?
I'm going to take a guess here and say UCLA.
That is incorrect. It was the University of Tennessee. Moving on to question number 5 for Jordan. Donovan, go ahead.
How many tournaments did Kim Mulkey win with her Baylor? Oh, with her time at Baylor. 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Kim Mulkey was at Baylor for a brief stint. I would say 3.
That is correct. Moving on to question number 6 for you, Ian. Which women's basketball 16 seed has upset a number 1 seed? Was it Princeton, Marquette, Yale, or Harvard?
I believe it is Harvard, but I could be wrong about that.
That is actually correct. Moving on back to Brian. Where did the legendary Kelsey Plum go to college? Was it Baylor, Washington, BYU, or Oregon?
Washington.
That is correct. Moving on to question number 8. Jordan, this one's for you. Donovan, go ahead.
In 1993, MVP Cheryl Swoops scored how many points in the championship game? 23, 32, 47, or 52?
One of the best WNBA players of all time. I'm going to have to say 32.
That is incorrect. It was 47. Moving on to question number 9 for you, Ian. Where is the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame? Is it Cleveland, Ohio, Knoxville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, or Los Angeles, California?
I'm going to take a guess here and go with my hometown. I got to say Atlanta, Georgia.
That is incorrect. It's just a little bit farther north in Los Angeles. Moving on to our next question. Question number 10 for you, Brian. Donovan, you want to take this one?
How many championships does UConn have in Women's March Madness? 17, 11, 12, or 15?
Well, I mentioned this earlier. So I'm going to take a wild guess and say 11.
That is correct. Moving on to our next question for you, Jordan. Who had 14 blocks in an NCAA women's tournament game? Was it Brittany Griner, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson, or Cameron Brink?
Oh, wow. Those are all bigs. I thought she was going to say like a guard or something, just to give me, just to say a giveaway or something. But okay, we have, I would say, just because of her level of play, Brittany Griner.
That is correct. Moving on to question number 12 for you, Ian. Donovan, go ahead.
This player scored 145 points over 6 games in the NCAA tournament in 2018. We got Arike Obamwe, Sabrina Ionsuku, Renea Davis, or Mimi Jackson. I'm sorry.
I'll go Renea Davis.
That is incorrect. It was Arike Ogunbowale. We're going to get a quick score check here to see. Ian, it's unfortunate. You have been eliminated. Jordan and Brian, y'all got 3 correct. Ian, you were just behind them with 2. So in our elimination round, we'll see what Brian and Jordan have to offer. So stay right with us.
Hey Alex, this guy on the internet says he wants to give me money.
That sounds suspicious.
What do you mean?
Typically, strangers who promise you money on the internet have their own best interest in mind. They often use bounce checks, which will disappear shortly after depositing, but not before they've asked for some money in return.
So he doesn't really want to spoil me?
No.
Well, then what should I do?
The best way to handle it is to block and report the suspicious message, or even consult local law enforcement if you've already fallen victim.
So I guess we aren't going to Key West for spring break.
No.
Welcome to the last and final round of Prove It or Lose It. In this round, our analysts will have to convince our panel why they are right, essentially proving it or losing it. My question for you guys is, who is better in women's college basketball, Gino Auriemma or Dawn Staley? Brian, I want you to argue for the Gino Auriemma, and then Jordan, you're going to take Dawn Staley. Brian, go ahead.
Gino Auriemma. This is an individual who has 11 national titles with UConn, 8-time Coach of the Year, 5 gold medals, and get this, 1,206 total wins over his 161 losses. That is a win percentage of 88.2. When you talk about one of the greatest head coaches of all time, not just in women's basketball, but just in basketball in general, you have to go with Gino Auriemma. He is just simply one of the greatest when it comes to his mindset, and you got to love his play game. Again, 11 national titles, they speak for themselves.
And Jordan?
I will argue Dawn Staley, only because she is what every player looks for now, is a true player coach. A player that's only for the players and develops them the right way. Not a lot of yelling, just for the players. And also what she has done as a player translated to her being a coach and actually coaching the players. And what she has done this season, being undefeated and #1 in NCAA women's basketball, is something that should be appreciated.
Ian, Donovan, do you have anything to ask Brian or Jordan?
Do you think Dawn will eventually match or exceed Gino's level of success in terms of just absolute wins and championships?
I think so. I would probably say that she would be the Jean of the WNBA, only because I don't see nobody stopping that kind of dominance. We saw LSU play South Carolina this season, and they failed to them. So they're at the top of the WNBA, just like how Jean is with UConn.
And Brian, I actually have a question for you. Pat Summitt, she was legendary at Tennessee. They won 8 titles with her. Do you think Pat Summitt could have surpassed Gino Auriemma had she still been coaching?
Well, to be honest, I haven't really been paying attention too much about women's basketball at Tennessee. I'm not quite sure. But I hate to, be a broken record about this, but 11 national he is an 8-time Coach of the Year on top of that. And the amount of players that he produced who played professional, Diana T, of course, Sue Bird, Tina Charles, Maya Moore, Breanna Stewart, these are excelling players. These players are one of a kind, top notch, and they came from that UConn program. So his legacy to just impact the game in general when it comes to both collegiate and professional, that's why I think that Gino Auriemma is the greatest women collegiate basketball coaches of all time.
And Donovan, do you have anything?
I heard enough. I heard enough.
All right. So, Ian, I guess we'll start with you. Who did you think proved it to you?
Well, I came into this thinking it was going to be easily Gino, but Jordan did make some really good points, so it's really close, but I'm still kind of making up my mind here. I think Jordan did win me over. I think Dawn will eventually surpass Gino. Obviously Gino's been in the game longer, but I think Dawn has a brighter future ahead of her, so Jordan has my vote.
And then Donovan?
After hearing both of their takes, I like how Jordan said that. She's a player coach, which is very important in college basketball because who doesn't want to be close to their coach? So I'm gonna have to go with Jordan on this one.
Well, I guess that's your answer. Jordan, you have won the 3rd episode of Prove It or Lose It, which means you will be on our next episode. So we'll see you next time here on Prove It or Lose It.